And
Right.
hack. We apologize. We are 11 minutes late, everybody. I am Jeffy Jeff of USDN. Who else we got joining us tonight?
I'm Jennifer, also from USDN and the Queens of Nerddom.
And I'm EJ from USDN and from Awesomeness.
Can't argue fats.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. We always strive here at USDN to bring you factual data. And if it's a rumor, we stamp it with a rumor alert before we give you the freshest info. However, once rumors are proven true here at USDN, bet your sweet asses we are slapping that stamp of approval on it.
Absolutely.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. Welcome. Good
I will
evening.
never get tired of that.
I know that's an excellent intro. And time for the traditional shots. Following in the footsteps of our DFPM brethren, we do a traditional shot to kick off the show with everyone. What are we drinking tonight, Jeff?
Jeff is drinking the finest Nestle Splash lemon water.
All right, take it easy on that.
Only the most exquisite water you could buy.
And Jen, what are you drinking tonight?
I have some summer citrus Ciroc.
All right, and I'm going to be having some
really are drinking the same.
Blue Chair Bay key lime rum for the first time. I'm going to try that out here. So, cheers for the.
Salute, everybody.
Salud.
That's pretty good.
That Ciroc is so smooth.
That's actually that's dangerously good. That's that may replace desserts and stuff. That's pretty good stuff.
I know. Actually, grabbed one.
I grabbed one too. This is probably the culprit.
I'll save that for later.
All right.
We got Willie out there drinking some peach Ciroc.
All right.
Ooh, I like the Ciroc, Willie. It's good, huh?
Okay.
Love it. All right. So this is our Halloween part 2. I'm lovingly calling this our Monster Mash. The Monster Mash?
Because we did the
I
mash.
wish we had the song playing.
I know. We should cut in with the song. That'd be perfect. But,
Monster Mash. Anyways. But we're continuing our spooky season, so we are all going to be talking about some of our favorite monsters, some movies that are related to those monsters. But yes, and we love to hear your thoughts and your favorite monsters too in the chat. So please join us in our discussion.
And just as a quick disclaimer here, of course, at USDN, we like to give you all the information we can, some obscure facts as well, but to avoid going down endless rabbit holes and being on here for 3 to 5 hours, we present to you information we think that you would find interesting, or maybe something that you haven't heard before, or something that we really like, maybe to share with everyone. But other than that, you're welcome to go check the source material, or if you know more, by all means, check in with us, share the information, post it up during the show, or if you send it to us on our our page. We'll definitely share it with everyone else, give an update. So yeah, just be aware that we will give you everything we can. If not found here, you can always check source material or relevant internet sites or documentation.
All right. With that, Jen, why don't
Love
you
it.
kick us off with
So,
your movie
I guess
monster? That was an evil
all
laugh.
right. So, I know. I have a cackle too. Do you want to hear my cackle?
Maybe
No, I'm not
later.
gonna do it. It's embarrassing. Anyways, maybe later. I have a nice witch cackle. So I was super happy. I know Halloween's over, and us talking about monsters got me really excited. And I have one monster that I just absolutely adore. Eric makes fun of me, but you guys, vampires. Vampires are my go-to monster. If there is a movie about vampires, I am watching it. Love it,
As you
love it,
should.
love it.
They're sexy.
They're the best.
It's something
Nothing
about them.
sexier.
I don't know what it
Nothing
is.
sexier than dead people.
Even when Nick
I mean-
Cage plays a vampire, it
Yeah.
works.
Nothing sexier than cold dead people. Yeah, for
Not
some
that
people.
movie though. Not that movie. Not that one.
All of them,
That's
but the Nicolas
terrible.
Cage ones.
Mm.
I'm gonna
That's awesome.
actually the Renfield one wasn't bad. It was
true.
entertaining. I liked it. It
I was
funny
surprised
and
by
spooky
Nick
enough.
Cage in that, actually.
Yeah.
Better than a good surprise.
It honestly, it was. I actually enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, it's funny
And-
and still had some good stuff in it.
And I like the twist of how Renfield would eat bugs and it would make him super strong and powerful. Like that was his gummy berry juice, so to speak. I like that a lot. I was
His
like, oh, that's a cool
spinach.
twist.
His
Yeah.
spinach.
His
Can
yeah,
of
his
spinach,
spinach, and then
can of roaches, Renfield's roaches.
Ooh,
So anyhow, so vampires. So by definition, they are a mythical creature, okay, that survives by feeding on the essence or in most cases blood of a living host, right? That's been in our culture and various other cultures for hundreds of years. Dare I say, could it be one of the oldest monsters on our list? Maybe. I don't know. I think werewolves would probably have a close
I think
second,
they're
if not
probably
tie
running
for
like,
one.
yeah,
Probably
they're
neck
probably
and neck,
running,
but I think the
neck
vampires
and
might
neck.
have it. 'Cause
so to speak.
don't the
Yeah.
Egyptians have relevant myths about vampires? So that might take it back a little bit further than werewolves.
Quite possibly. I'm not sure.
I'm not
Could be.
positive, but I
I
think
have
the
to dig
Egyptians
into
had
it.
a form of vampiric myth. So
I don't.
To dig in.
It doesn't. Yeah, I kind of know I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the myth.
Yeah, I
off the
mean,
top of my
there's
head.
probably an actual name and so forth for it. But
Oh yeah.
once again, a
Yeah.
rabbit hole that somebody could educate us on.
Sure. So probably in no particular order, one of the vampire movies I really enjoy is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Came out in 1992, but this is I'm weird, but everybody likes their rom-com romance movies. This is the movie that I go to when I'm feeling all lovey-dovey and romantic. I think it's one of the most amazing romance stories, and I remember reading articles about how when Gary Oldman took this part just so he could say the line, "I have crossed oceans of time to find you," and I was like,
Gary
"Ah!"
Oldman, fucking classic. He's
I know.
classy.
Yep.
It is. There's actually stuff on Etsy that you can buy that has that quote on it.
Mm.
Eric.
I have to
That's
say, Bram Stoker's is my favorite. I mean, as far as the whole especially as far as the more modern media of vampires, I think Bram Stoker's Dracula is
Yeah.
probably my favorite.
or maybe Dracula Untold.
Dracula Untold's great too.
That's actually my next one. So that one came out in 2014. I'd like a moment of silence for the death of the Dark Universe.
Thanks, Tom
It died.
Cruise.
Thanks, Tom Cruise. There was other reasons why it died, but hey. Anyways, I the thing I loved about Dracula Untold is that I liked seeing almost the vampire's perspective from like his abilities, um, the um, the sounds and how much the light hurt his eyes and his skin and everything. I love that, and it was almost like I don't know, like a more recent telling, but it had like more of a modern effect to it than like a lot of the old Dracula movies. And come on, Luke Evans did an amazing job. He's awesome in
Did
it. Absolutely loved it. And Charles Dance, any movie with Charles Dance is worth a watch, guys.
anything with him? I mean, look at Game of Thrones.
Yes.
You know, anything. He did
Sodom
a
Doomsday.
short bit on that last Underworld movie, and still he's awesome. You know,
Hey,
he's only in it
Underworld.
for
That's
like
another. Hey,
5
more
minutes.
vampires.
So you guys just keep jumping to all my movies. I love it. So Underworld honestly has my most two favorite monsters, vampires and werewolves. I think I probably dressed as Celine for Halloween for I don't know how many years after this. I wanted to be Celine. I'm like, she's so fucking cool. I love her.
Can't even be mad about that.
I know.
Right? And the
I wanted to be Celine too.
I don't
I can
blame
see
you.
pulling that off, EJ.
I try. Yeah.
Pull it
And the
with the whole
I
cat suit. Go for it,
good.
man.
So I know a lot of people have feelings about this series, but I I loved all of them. Blood Wars wasn't my most favorite, but I loved the Underworld movies and Rise of the Lycans. I think they're just phenomenal movies. I love their take
Rise of
on
the
the
Lycans is
vampires.
so underrated.
It is.
It really
So Willie
is.
brought up some good questions for you, Jen.
Yeah.
But
Well, Willie brought up a good point, and I thought that maybe in your research, Jen, you came across it. You know, there's differences in the levels for vampire bite, whether or not you become a vampire, whether or not you become a thrall. I don't know if many people know what that is, or if you become just dead. So
Yeah. Well, the troll is the like you don't quite go through the full
Willie.
transformation
a
of
thrall is like a low level, like they're not fully. I guess it's more of a mix between a zombie and a vampire. Like he's not all here anymore, and he still has like the strength and the bloodlust, but he's not. He's
yeah.
not.
They don't have the mental capacity.
Yeah, they don't have the mental capacity. They don't have the ability to change others. So
Blade
that's a
1
thrall.
had a
But I mean,
thrall
did you
in
get
it.
any more information, Jen?
What?
As
I was
the types of bite. He asked, like, or he was mentioning the different type, levels of bite. You don't want to just end up being a meal. It's like, was
well,
there anything that indicates a difference?
it depends. Like usually when it comes to the different vampire movies I've watched, it's usually a blood exchange. It's not just a bite.
Mm.
I know there's some movies
So,
where it's just a bite, but a lot of the vampire lore, it's usually an exchange of blood
exchanging bodily
between.
fluids.
I think this is a. So I actually I made a list of monsters I wanted to talk about, and the transferring of blood is a good segue into the Reapers from Blade 2, who if they bit you, you just automatically became another Reaper.
Yeah, they're more like an infection, right?
It was an infection, yeah. It was a bloodborne like infection.
Where like Jen's talking about the traditional, where it's more of a mystical,
Or
like a curse being handed
or
off, not biological.
Yes.
Willie, are you talking about Twilight?
Yeah, I don't think he's Twilighting. Willie
I
doesn't
think
come
he
off as the
is.
Twilight type.
But he
I
did
love
ask.
those
He did
sparkly
ask what your
vampires,
favorite
though.
Dracula is.
Yeah, that's the question we're all waiting to answer. Which
But
visual adaptation of Dracula is your favorites?
Visual would be Bram's Underworld, and then probably my favorite book is the Anne Rice novels.
Mm.
Anne Rice, you guys make my book nerd come out. So Anne Rice had her Interview with the Vampire series, where usually the main character is the vampire Lestat. She has
Mm-hmm.
many books, but how the vampires are made are really interesting. The vampires are actually all infected with the same demon. And this demon is actually when Lestat, or maybe it was Akasha, when Akasha was talking about it, because Akasha and I can't remember her husband's name. So the demon was bigger than the sky. So every time that there's a new vampire made, a piece of that demon is drawn into them, but they're subsequently weaker than Akasha and her mate.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
that
why,
in the Anne Rice series, those two were the originals.
yeah, they actually
Even though,
turned to
like,
stone.
I think all of the books are actually mention Lestat, though. It's not like he's in every
He's the
book to
main
some degree.
character.
Yeah, because even Queen of the
Probably,
Damned, the movie was all about the vampire Lestat.
mostly, but it had Akasha in there, was
Hmm.
one of the primary characters. But honestly, if you're gonna read any of them, I would probably recommend Memnock the Devil. Is probably one of my more favorite vampire movies or not books by Anne Rice. But the Vampire Lestat I think is no, I think it's Interview with the Vampire, then the Vampire Lestat, and then I think it's Tale of the Body Thief. I think might be the third one. But
I think
actually, it's a
it's the
great
third one.
series if you guys are interested in reading some vampire books. And Anne Rice really puts a lot of heart into the vampire lore. And
Oh, look at there. We
and
answered
almost
Lily's
like
next question automatically.
playing Queen Akasha and Queen of the Damned is my, you know,
Yeah, Leah slayed that
she did
role.
an amazing job. I mean, if you love that movie and her playing it, the book is as always 1,000 times better. There was
But
actually
you'll
a
Book
have
lot
to
more
use
is
the image
to
in
the
really
book.
mind while
good.
you're reading.
But she
Yeah.
brought that character to life, that like in a special sort of way. Like, I don't know, she embodied it. Like nobody else can do it no more. Aaliyah was it. Like every now and then somebody comes along and plays a character and they do it so well, nobody can ever touch it again. That was Aaliyah.
So Jen's favorite
I
Dracula is from the books.
Probably the underworld vampires. Yeah, probably visually the underworld. But my favorite vampires will always be Anne Rice because she put so much thought and just stories behind her vampires and everything. Just highly recommend them. They're amazing. Sorry. Oh, and I do have some honorable mentions. I do have some honorable mentions that
Well, let's let
didn't
EJ
quite.
tell us who his favorite vampire is first, and then we'll come to your honorable mentions. Let's
Okay.
answer. Or,
My favorite visual adaptation of Dracula is probably Dracula Untold, and it's close. I mean, it's a struggle because Bram Stoker's Dracula, Gary Oldman plays Dracula on, but they're two different periods of Dracula, though. Like that's why I kind of lean more towards Untold, is because that's Vlad's beginning. So
mm-hmm.
you get to see his humanity and everything's still intact.
Yep.
Whereas Gary Oldman's playing much later as the curse has gone on and it's been, hundreds of years. His level of give a shit has gone to the toilet,
Mm-hmm.
except for Mina.
Yep.
But I mean, he does that so well when he brings it to screen. He brings Dracula in this level of class. But visually, the most impressive is still Dracula Untold. I think it shows from the standpoint of when he first gets his abilities. You get the insight of his overwhelming senses, how he's trying to adjust to hearing everything, seeing everything as rapidly as he does. He's trying to get a hold of moving, and I mean, it's impressive. It's kind of like seeing that whole training montage, but you're seeing the whole development, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even know how powerful he is. And then you see the bloodlust hit him for the first
You hear
time,
Eye of the
and he
Tiger playing in the background.
exactly,
You
and
really
but
Dun,
can.
it's
dun,
so
dun,
good. I mean,
dun,
he does such a
dun,
good
dun.
job of showing. It's not a big deal up until the fact when the bloodlust hits him around someone he loves.
Mm-hmm.
Warm
Then you
apple pie.
see the other side of the curse. Like it seems like everything's great up until that point. So that's why it's my favorite
Mhm.
visual adaptation. Is it shows his very beginning, the learning to be a vampire, and then the realization of why it's a curse, all in one flow. So that's probably my favorite visual adaptation, Willie.
EJ answered for me as well. So with that, let's turn it back over to Jen and give her honorable mentions. Thanks, EJ.
So Actually, one of my other movies that, well, two movies actually that if it's on TV, that's what I'm watching. Is I'll always watch Fright Night, 1985.
Yes.
I love it. It's on. I'm watching it. Fright Night's on. You bet. Yeah, I'm watching it. And then obviously, The Lost Boys.
Oh, beautiful.
Absolutely love The Lost Boys. Not like
Great
your
picks.
classic vampire, but yeah. No, actually, my honorable mentions are What We Do in the Shadows.
Give them to.
Oh,
Hey,
that show's the best.
I love that show.
The
It should
movie's
not
awesome
be so
too. The
funny.
movie's awesome too. It's great.
I love that movie so much. If you guys have never watched What We Do in the Shadows, you absolutely have to watch it. It is
Yeah, the
awesome.
Lost Boys soundtrack is probably one of the best
Yeah.
soundtracks ever put on a movie.
And the guy playing the saxophone.
The
great.
saxophone
The saxophone.
The
with the
saxophone.
pink spandex pants on. He just
Who knew?
that's
Hey,
all.
you know he's famous for that one thing.
That's all he had to do. That's it.
Like
I
he
mean-
literally has a cult following.
Yeah, that thing where you're like God puts everyone here for that one
Sad.
purpose.
That was his one purpose.
Pink spandex. It's the saxophone just blaring in a Lost Boy
It's-
movie.
I
And
love
he
it.
embodied that role.
He did. Forever, he will
Yep.
always be the saxophone guy.
Interview with the Vampire, although it's my favorite book, the movie's not as great as the books. The new twist on it on AMC is I would say worth a watch. I enjoyed it. And then Near Dark. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie.
That's an
Near
excellent,
Dark.
excellent pick.
1987.
Oh.
That's
It's very gritty, very dark. It's
yes.
take on modern vampires. It's awesome.
Yeah, that
I have to check that one
oh,
out. I don't
God.
think I've seen it.
Bill Paxton's in it,
Bill
actually. He
Paxton's
played
in it.
Actually, no, I think I did see that
um,
one.
Lance Henriksen or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lex Henderson and what was our brother from Heroes? Adrian something.
Yeah, the older brother and Heroes.
Yeah, the older brother. He was the main character, the main good guy. But that's
that
definitely
guy.
another that guy.
The one who
That
did
is
that
another
one thing.
huh?
Nothing.
So yeah, so those are my favorite picks of so vampires, and then those are some of my favorite movies, favorite books. Definitely, if you guys haven't watched them, definitely recommend them 100%.
I agree. Those were
Alright.
great picks.
All 110% great shit right
I
Thank
there.
actually
you.
like the new version of Fright Night too. I mean, Anton.
Yeah.
EJ, your
Yelp.
turn.
Oh, my turn.
No,
Anyway,
but
I just wanted
finish
to
your
finish
statement.
that. The modern or the modern version or the remake or whatever of Fright Night. Anton, what is it? Anton Yelchin.
Anton Yelchin.
He did a really good job. I mean, he's different than the original
Rest in
Charlie,
peace.
but he does a good job. I mean, if you've watched any of his stuff, you saw he always put 110% in. Rest in peace. He's it's very sorrowful that we lost him so young, but he gave some great performances in his time with us. But Colin Farrell actually redeemed himself for me in a lot of his other roles, like a Phone Booth. Almost maybe one. Like, I mean,
So good.
I was about to go look for him myself. Oh, Black, what up?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Um,
the owner, proprietor, all around great fucking guy, Mac is in the house.
Hello, everyone.
hello.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Fabulous. Thank you. Oh, that's
That's
a good
awesome.
one, Kevin.
How you doing?
Yeah, Last Voyage of the Dementor. That's on my watch
Yeah.
list.
That's really good one, Kevin. That's a really good
That was.
100%
I was actually
recommend that
impressed.
one too. Love
Uh,
that.
For such a small portion of the Bram Stoker story, they took that, and I was at first I was like, how are they going to make that into a
Yeah.
whole feature-length movie? And they pulled it off. I mean, it's suspenseful enough, and even though you may know the end result, you're still rooting and pushing for different like, oh, don't do that, even though you're like, oh man, we know the ship ends up being a ghost ship as it rolls into London Harbor. It's like we know from the story, but you're watching it and you're like, oh, come on, you're gonna die. Still they did a good job.
Fight the good fight. Yeah, I love
Solid
that movie.
fucking
They
movie.
did it really
I
well.
gotta watch it. What's
I
it
know.
on? What's it streaming on?
Prime, I think Prime has it.
We
it
bought it
Prime?
off Prime. Yeah,
we bought it
bought
off Prime when it came out
Yeah.
because we're horror fans. If it's got any
Mhm.
decent looking,
Mhm.
doesn't look like it was made on a home video camera, we'll pretty much.
I'm with you. Yep.
Sometimes
What's wrong
we
with
do that
those?
too.
Kelvin,
I was
you
gonna say
missed the shot.
sometimes we do that
Tubi
too.
Tubi horror movies is like, they had one camera. It's like their mom's old Sony handheld.
No, it's an old what is it? The old 8mm or whatever.
Yeah.
Kelvin, what you sipping on tonight, man? Since you missed the shot earlier.
Yeah, I missed the shot, so I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna continue from last night. So I have some Dewars.
Okay.
Ooh.
12.
Break out the
So-
fancy glasses for this guy.
Well, actually,
No.
it was
Cheers.
left over because we celebrated last night. But
Oh, okay. What y'all celebrating on?
cheers.
What's going on?
DMV
in your
had a
household?
solid week, bro. Like,
Oh, we did have a
Congratulations.
fucking
They're definitely
solid week.
all around USDN.
We're gonna save all that good shit
all
to the very
DSDN.
end, though, because we've had a fucking week of wheats. And
it's
ladies
still
and gentlemen,
going, by the way.
the final shots and thoughts tonight are going to be full and bountiful for everybody. But with that, EJ, let's roll into your goods.
All right. Okay. So during our first Halloween, All Hallows Eve special, I kind of went all into outer space and then brought it back down with the Afflicted movie. So I was that's my favorite monster. Okay. So the Thing will always be my favorite monster, but I already did him. So we had to go somewhere else. Afflicted, I kind of touched on that, and Jen's already gone the vampire route. So I was like, hey, honestly, I love lycans, lycanthropes, shape changers, werewolves.
Skinwalkers.
They're excellent, but I know, we've heard that. So I wanted to talk about someone who doesn't get a lot of respect in the horror movies. He's always been shoved over into action now, but he's an OG, and I think we need to put some respect on his name. Okay, so I went back and I brought up Godzilla. Okay, Godzilla, you all know, aka Gojira, King of the Monsters,
Gojira.
Kaiju
Gojira.
Supreme, G-Zilla in the hood, on Monster Island. That's what they call him. God Z is his Wu-Tang name.
Zilla the God.
Zilla the God.
Like
I mean, he got a lot. Okay, people just sleep on him. He first debuted in 1954 with the movie Godzilla. Since then, he's blown up. I mean, 34 plus full-length movies, man. 34 plus movies. Godzilla. I mean, come on. He's known everywhere. Okay.
4 movies alone
He
this
stepped on
year.
somebody's house on every continent in this world. Okay.
4 of them this year alone will come out.
Exactly. He's got 3 animated films, 4+ animated series, dozens of screen cameos from other features, award shows, specials. I mean, he's even got his lifetime achievement
Really?
thing.
Stop.
He went
He
out and
does.
got his award. I mean, he's been everywhere. When it comes down to it, they weigh a lot of these other horror bad guys like Jason and Michael and who's got the highest body count. Godzilla stomps them all, literally. He's got over 20 million body count. All right. I mean, he's destroyed Tokyo. I don't know how many times. I mean, that's a lot of little Japanese dudes getting smashed. All right. Over and over and over again. It's the 20 million people, over $5 trillion in damages. I mean, he don't play. I mean, look at his list of people he stomped. All right. The Japanese Defense Force. I don't know how many times he stomped them. They
Never
even
had a
came up with
chance.
weapons that don't make any kind of sense to try to fight Godzilla.
Hey, they created a Mecha Godzilla to try to fight
They
him.
created Mechagodzilla. They got those weird little dish trucks with the lightning bolts on it that really don't do anything but make him mad. He's beat the United States Armed Forces
Multiple times.
Easy.
times.
And
I
we
mean,
tried to nuke him.
Random alien spaceships back in the old school. He's smacking them out the sky. Let's see. He's beat dozens of unnamed kaiju from like the spider guy, the mantis. I'm sure they all have names, but
The only one that
do
ever
we
given
care?
problems, though, is Kong, like Willie is saying.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, you go down the list. Okay, Zilla. If you've ever watched Godzilla Final Wars, I don't know if you know who Zilla is. Zilla's that sorry ass wannabe from the Sony pictures.
Yeah. That's
Well,
why I said
Godzilla
Zilla the
stomps him
God.
in Godzilla Final Wars. Doesn't even take a fight. He just kind of just gets rid of him. He's beat Gigan, Megalon, Ibira. He's beat up Kong. I mean, Kong's gotten him at least one good fight, but overall,
Yeah.
Zilla stomped him. I don't know how many times. In the old school one, I mean, he buried him in rocks, and then he ends up throwing him in the ocean. I mean, Kong just needs to stop.
Wasn't there a versus that we watched? Do you remember that show that we watched? It was a versus King Kong versus Godzilla, and it said the biggest reason that Godzilla always beats him is because of his the gamma blast
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
that
The
he
gamma
does.
blast.
radioactive fire. I mean, you're talking about a giant gorilla. I mean, gorillas are flammable.
Well, I
mean,
always thought that King Kong had the dexterity and the agility
yeah,
against
and they showed
him,
that.
but
You're
Yeah.
right.
The last movie did show
yeah,
that
they
The
really
last
did.
well.
movie
They
where
did
they
in the
put the two
verses.
against each other,
Yeah.
they showed that Kong's agility and his ability to use tools and kind of like strategize in his fight gave him a little bit of an edge. But when it comes down to it, he's going to have to come to blows. And although he could throw some punches, you're dealing with, it's kind of like if you saw a chimpanzee versus like a Nile crocodile. All right. He's going to get some blows in, but overall, are the blows doing anything really through the armor? And then you got the tail, the bite, the claws. I mean, there's only so long that King Kong can keep going. The weapon helped. You know,
Yeah,
when he
it
had
did.
that axe,
Yeah.
that helped. But I
think that.
But
Yeah.
even then, at the end of it, he bowed down and he
Yeah.
ended up
there's
protecting
a reason
Godzilla.
why, you know, Godzilla's king of the monsters, man. That's just what he is.
And that's why Kong will always be the guy who protects the home in the hole in the ground of Godzilla.
Yeah. I mean, they're cool.
least
They're
according
on a
to
cool.
lore.
They're cool right now. The beef has been squashed as far as the last movie
Yep.
goes.
I don't know.
So-
I don't know.
It could come back. We don't know. But
That's
yeah, the
radioactive
list of all the
lizard
people he
king.
stomped goes long, and some of them even had King in front of their name, like Kong or King Ghidorah. But they all lost that title, as far as I'm concerned. There's
And
only
there was
one
even a
King of the
point when
Monsters. It's Godzilla.
Mothra gave Godzilla a fucking run for it.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, even Rodan fought him.
Yep.
I mean, you got a lot of
Mhm.
one of the ones that gave him a biggest fight, and it's hard to find because you only got the Japanese release is Godzilla versus Destroya. It's spelled really terribly. It's Destroya or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Deontay.
Deontay.
yeah, it's English. Oh, what up?
Destroy
You
you.
Hey, Poppy.
So that one's actually that gives him a really good fight. And it also has a bleed off that the humans actually have a purpose in that movie because Destroya is able to release all these little versions and like destroy stuff, and then they get bigger. So it kind of
Isn't
humans
he
have
just
something
like
to do
Gojira?
besides just, huh?
Isn't he just
Yeah.
like Gojira though? He's
No,
just
he
like
kind of
Monster
looks
Zero,
like
right?
Godzilla with big dragon wings,
Mm-hmm.
Like
and
wings,
he's
right?
real thick. He's real like thick and red, and it looks like a mouth on his chest almost too.
Like I'm
If
thick.
you get a chance, I mean, it's hard to find. It is. It's hard to find, but Destroya is probably one of his bigger fights because I think Destroya actually hands him his ass for a little bit. It takes a while for Godzilla to get in there.
He figured it out though.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it takes two Godzillas to beat him, if I remember right. So his son and him both fight, and I believe it's his son that ends up getting killed. And then Godzilla goes thermonuclear on him. And although he defeats Destroya, he dies afterwards as well.
I think that's what -1 is about.
That's a can of
the
whoop
newest
ass.
Japanese
Yeah,
film.
that's a very dark one, kind of like Shin Godzilla. Shin
Yeah.
Godzilla is all about, I mean, basically Godzilla coming to just cause death. But there's a lot of iterations of Godzilla. Godzilla started as basically, I don't know, like a fable of what harming the planet and using nuclear power could do. Basically, the Japanese had seen up close and personal what radiation and nuclear power could do and the effects of atomic bomb. I mean, generations after Nagasaki and Hiroshima, people were still being born deformed, dying.
Right.
Radiation poisoning killed, hundreds of thousands for years to come. I mean, the initial bombs killed, about 200,000 people. But the devastation from the sickness and disease and long-term effects of radiation killed thousands and thousands more. So that's where a lot of that came into what built the idea of Godzilla coming up into, kind of punishing man for what he had made, what he had done.
Right.
There's a lot of iterations that come from that. I mean, Godzilla, if you go back far enough in myths to like feudal Japan or ancient Japan, they had myths of giant sea dragons. The Ryukyu Islands, basically Okinawa, it's known as Okinawa now, but the Ryukyu Islands is basically named Ryukyu for the dragon islands. It's basically supposed to come from a sea dragon is why the islands are formed. So all those ideas bled into what became Godzilla, and then now today we have our version of Godzilla as a titan or kaiju from the center of the earth that's kind of like Mother Nature's weapon. So like I said, he's branched off from being horror initially in the 50s all the way, I'd say up until about the late 60s. He was primarily just horror. He was a bad guy. He came in, destroyed everything, killed everyone until they beat him back into the ocean. But then he started taking on more of a role of like, hey, I'm the only guy that gets to destroy Tokyo. So other monsters would come, he'd get in a fight, they'd leave, and then he still destroyed Tokyo.
Tokyo's
Those
mine.
are my people to destroy.
Hey, this is
Back
my
up.
block, bro. Go
But,
back
fuck
up,
that
back
other
up.
shit up.
Yeah, exactly. This is my hood. I destroy this hood.
Good in New York.
Yeah.
I pumped drugs here, bro. Go somewhere else.
So, like I said, I wanted to bring him back, get some respect on his name. I mean, to this day, they even brought a space version of Godzilla down, and he wasn't even good enough to fight Godzilla. Godzilla still kicked his ass. So, all in all, he's my choice monster. He's been around since before all of us were born in the main media, and he's still kicking and actually coming back with a movie that's coming up soon. And Kong's going to get to be in it too, so we may see some of the answers to even Willie's questions, or like Kately said, the beef ain't over yet. We'll see for the next movie coming out.
Yeah. So
also,
the Japanese just released one.
Go ahead, Jeff.
The Japanese just released one of their two, I think, Godzilla movies that are coming out. Plus, there's the series coming out. And then I think there's a movie coming out early 2024. So there's literally like 5 to 6 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, Toho Pictures got the rights back. So
finally,
the last two movies that came out in Japan is Toho Pictures taking the reins again back and making Godzilla the way the Japanese version of Godzilla. So he'll look a little different, closer to his original style than what you've seen in the Hollywood movies recently. But even
recently, the Hollywood movies, they signed on board with Toho and agreed to cooperate with them on all the Godzilla movies going forward. So anything being made in the U.S. is going to be shaped somehow by Toho.
Yeah, it's going to reflect, and that's good because you want the story consistency. I mean, when you're building your universe, Legacy of Monsters. Is that the series, Willie? I think Willie's.
I think that's the animated series.
Yeah, so I mean, they got all sorts of stuff going on. Also, just for everyone who's into comics, DC just dropped the recent Godzilla versus Superman versus
the Justice League. Yep.
So, I mean, that just lets you know they got to call out the whole league to face Godzilla, and for Godzilla, that's a light Tuesday,
Oh, that's the Apple TV series that is dropping.
So that was my pick. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have anything else on Godzilla, you got any references? I mean, information, movies that we should check out. Like I said, if you like the old school stuff, you like the Toho Japanese versions, check out Godzilla versus Destroya. If you like the newer stuff, we got the new stuff coming out now next year. It's going to be a continuation of recent King Kong versus Godzilla. So we'll see where that goes from there.
And I want to say Dynamite just dropped a brand new Godzilla comic as well.
Oh, okay.
It's like I don't want to call it a reboot, but it kind of is.
So it's like is it starting like an origin story again, or?
I think so. I haven't had a chance to sit down and read that one yet. I'm a little behind, but they did drop one.
I know a lot of people were looking forward to the DC crossover event, and seems
I
like
just picked that up.
Yeah, some
It
of the
came
art
out,
looks
I think, a
amazing.
week ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that. So it's on my to read list.
Okay.
That's Deontay's got some good points. How about Godzilla versus some of the dragons
Those
that
are
we
good too.
see?
Yes, Deontay. Those are some of
Yeah.
the more recent
Yep.
iterations, and they did. I mean, when it comes to effects like that, I think that Toho's always been excellent with their practical effects, especially using the perspectives to their advantage. They're able to use practical effects and things that we completely use CGI for now. And I mean, of course, if you pay close attention, you can still see a lot of it, but they are able to immerse you in the world and the events using miniatures and perspective well enough to where it still holds up today for a lot of those movies, especially the ones Deontay just threw up for us. Those are some of the new, like in the 2000s, and they did a great job of using those special effects to make those movies still hold up today. So
But
that's
if you
all I
had-
got. So I don't know if we're going to Jeff or Black. Who's going next?
So we are going to be going to Jen so she can give her thought real quick, and then we'll be jumping over to Kelvin, who is going to be covering what would have been Tay's pick, but I also want Kelvin to also give his.
My
So
pick
Jen.
is Tay's pick.
Okay, so Jen, let's head over to you first and let you get your thought in, and then we're going to Kelvin.
You know, my only thought is I want to address something that Deontay said. Having Godzilla against some of the dragons that are in Game of Thrones. You know, Deontay, I think the only thing that you're going to have an issue with like Balerion, the Dread, and then Vagar is, although they're flyers and they have the dragon fire, I think a lot of them, especially I think it's Vagar that you see in the most recent Game of Thrones is that he's so big, I don't think he's going to be able to bank and maneuver fast enough to avoid Godzilla's Gamma Blast.
Yeah, he's
in my opinion.
He's done. He survives about 3 seconds into it.
Yeah,
I don't think. I mean, the dragon fire is definitely something not to be trifled with. I mean, we know. I mean,
that's
from the lore
Godzilla's
of like
chicken on
dragon
a stick.
fire.
Yeah.
I mean, the flyer thing. I mean, maybe if you have multiple dragons attacking Godzilla at the same time, but honestly, I don't think that
he lives in the mantle in the core of the earth. It's not going to hurt.
You got to kind of look at too, like Ghidorah is a 3-headed dragon, basically. But if you notice when they got into it, as it came down to the melee, came to hand, the one thing that was keeping Ghidorah from losing immediately was he had 3 heads. Okay, so 2 could grab on while the other one was still fighting and trying to bite him. But if you look at the dragons from Game of Thrones, they are not built for melee. Okay, if they come in close contact with Godzilla, all it takes is for him to be able to get a hold of them. Once he's got a hold of them, the fight's over. I mean, you're talking about someone that's able to he's taken his enemies and forced their faces through a skyscraper. Okay, the dragons won't stand a chance. I mean, the amount of power behind that, for him to step on King Kong's chest and crush his chest cavity, the amount of strength and size is beyond anything that Game of Thrones can imagine. The dragons would be about the same size as the Mutu in the first Godzilla. That was the United States version. I think it's 2014. Was it 2014? The U.S. reboot of Godzilla. But anyway, Mutu was those 2 things that kind of look like a mix between a bug and a bat. The smaller of the 2 would probably be about the same size as the Game of Thrones dragons. And that thing got swatted into a building by Godzilla's tail and died.
But are you thinking of Daenerys dragons? Or are you thinking of Vagar and Balerion? Because
Vagar's huge, no doubt. House of Dragons, they showed him. Okay, he's enormous.
Big as shit.
But that would make him even less capable of staying out of Godzilla's grasp. The smaller ones, I think, have a better chance of hitting and running. You're not going to hit and run. I mean, Ghidorah is huge. Ghidorah was enormous. He's bigger than Godzilla. And Godzilla was stomping him as soon as he got his hands on him. He just had to get his hands on him.
I don't know. We might have to sim this one.
I'm kind of with
Kevin here. I think
Danny's dragons do, maybe.
They have a lack
Well,
of arms.
they're not alive. Right.
They have no arms and one head. They're
I'm kind of leaning towards Willie's statement too.
Yeah.
Like, Godzilla alone would bring the seven kingdoms together, and they'd all lose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just too big.
Godzilla's eating good tonight,
The
boys.
most recent iteration. I mean, you saw him fighting in was it Shanghai in the last movie?
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't tell you.
I think it was Shanghai or I don't know. But anyway, him and Kong they dwarfed the city. I mean, the
that was
buildings
in
were more like
Tokyo.
turnbuckles in a wrestling match.
Yeah, that was
those
Tokyo.
are skyscrapers, and they're just bouncing each other off of them like they're doing wrestling moves.
Yeah.
I mean, the dragons they're not even close to that size. So anyway, just my opinion.
Keldon.
I get you, man. I get you.
We are on to your picks and taste pits because this is a good one.
All right, so my pick, and I'm not going to be long-winded at all. I'm not. There's a lot on this person you can go see. They did have a series dedicated to them on Netflix, but this is a different type of monster. I did enjoy this pick, so shout out to Tay for suggesting this one because this is totally left field from anything anybody else is doing. So I always appreciate these types of ideas. My pick and Tay's pick is Pogo the Clown. If anybody know who Pogo the Clown is. Does anybody know who that is?
Man, you went to a dark place.
Yeah, we went dark. We went really dark.
You went midnight dark.
We went
midnight.
Pogo the Clown is a self-made alias for the serial killer who in the 1970s murdered at least 33 men
that we know
and
about
boys in Norwood Park Township near Chicago. Correct. John Wayne Gacy is the monster. And he refers himself
on so many different TV shows, and yeah,
it's worse because it's real. This actually happened.
Yep, John Wayne Gacy.
They don't get worse than that.
This actually happened. Homie was a menace. So he was convicted.
Scary.
Yes, correct. So he committed all of his murders in his ranch style house. Typically, his method was to lure his victims to his home, dupe them into putting on stuff like handcuffs and demonstrating a magic trick so he can get out. Then he would rape and torture his captives before killing them, either by asphyxiation or by strangulation. 26 of the victims were found under his home. So much so, this guy did so much that the cops are still trying to put together the totality of his victims because it's just a puzzle. And his most famous phrase was, "Clowns can get away with anything. Clowns can get away with murder." Now, John Wayne Gacy is probably the reason, if you're over 50 years old, you are probably afraid of clowns. John Wayne Gacy is why. And it's because of his method. There is a link that they tried to do with, what's his name? Jeffrey Dahmer.
Well,
and John Wayne Gacy. The parallel is there, but both sick, heinous crimes committed. There's an episode of
there's a season of American Horror Story that ties them all together.
Correct, there is also the Netflix show dedicated to Jeffrey Dahmer also mentions John Wayne Gacy and the day he actually got executed in 1994. So there's a lot of parallel there with those, but yeah, this guy was an absolute menace and monster. But being that he was real, I did like this pick. So that is my pick for.
There's actually a show on Discovery ID called Most Evil. There is
Yep.
a psychologist, if no one has watched it, who actually goes through a lot of the not just the most infamous serial killers, but a lot of different serial killers, and he rates them, I believe, on a scale from 1 to 21, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think 1 being the worst, and he takes a lot of things into consideration, like, is this premeditated? Or,
What
what
fueled
things
them?
happen in a
Yeah, all that
child.
stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
Their
there's lots of
method.
different things that they, and
Yeah.
I think one of the worst ones, I think he said, was Bundy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
Ted
Gacy
Bundy.
was up,
There's a parallel between Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy
right.
as well.
The level of
Gacy
his
was up
intelligence
there.
was partly Bundy's thing. Why he was so
That's
scary.
Right.
He was terrifying because he was so charming. Like,
Mhm.
if not to switch the narrative to Bundy, but he just kind of came up in my mind because I remember he was pretty high on the scale. Just that he even was charming to the judge during his trial. The judge was having a hard time saying biased or non-biased during the thing. But if I'm not wrong, if somebody wants to look it up and correct me, I believe that Gacy was higher up on the scale too because his
Yeah.
motives, and then obviously going
Well, I
after
don't-
children was
Right.
also makes you higher up on the scale, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Just a side note. I don't know if anyone's seen. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but there was a documentary film creator that was going and interviewing different people, and he did one on Gacy, and
Hmm.
his interview with Gacy was actually kind of terrifying. I mean, Gacy, even to the end of his days, was a ruthless man. I mean, he talked
Yeah,
about how he
absolutely.
wanted to kill that guy in that interview, in the room, and how easily he could do it. And I mean, it's
Terrifying.
believable. I mean, the guy who did the documentary was scared. I mean, just,
Conversations with the Killer on Netflix.
yeah, the depth of his evil is just
Oh, okay.
it's hard to imagine. You see a lot of the after effects. Like Dahmer repented and looked for forgiveness, and he even admitted his guilt. You know, Dahmer. If you even watch any of the the Netflix special and stuff, Dahmer would definitely
Mhm.
displays many aspects of mental illness. Okay,
Yeah.
mental disability in certain aspects. Gacy's functioning and awareness is all there. He enjoyed his life doing what he did for as long as he did.
Yes.
It wasn't like
He
he tried to change his ways. He enjoyed it to the
he's
effect that
almost like possessed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
to
it
me, that
seems
would be like
almost
being possessed.
otherworldly. His level of wanton destruction and want to hurt another man. He talks about wanting to put I can't remember exactly, but he's talking about wanting to use the edge of the chair's leg or something, like the bar in the middle, to choke this guy to death on the floor
And
in
watch
the
the
room.
life bleed away from him.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
I
what he's
remember that.
thinking about, sitting there with this guy. He's not thinking about the question. He's thinking about the opportunity to add another body to his,
Yeah, like I'm in a room with you, bro. Like,
yeah. I mean, you see the other ones,
Rude.
like
Rude.
Mindhunters does a really good job of going backtracking all these different serial killers.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
big guy with the glasses, I can't remember his name. The one who killed his mother, and
He had this fetish
anyway,
with women
a lot of
and
them
their
though,
shoes.
they don't express remorse completely, like the Son of Sam and everyone, but they're obviously done. When they're getting interviewed, they're kind of just done.
Oh,
Gacy.
Not
Deontay, you would
Gacy.
not have squared up with him. That was a big man.
Yeah, I mean, he is even though he was old in the documentary, he still had a look in his eyes that lets you know he is close with death. They know each other well. He is exacted that death on
Vacant.
many a person.
It's like shark
And I mean,
eyes.
he's not scared of
To
it.
me, you know what remind me was like shark eyes.
Yeah, it's like soulless. So
Yeah, he's
anyway,
not there.
All right.
great pick. I
Good
like it.
pick.
We're going to jump into my stuff and bring
Kelvin,
it back to the
excellent.
fictional world after Kelvin has us all sleeping with one eye open tonight.
Sorry for
And
the
I'm not
downer,
quoting
guys.
Metallica. So I picked a couple. I got one that I'm really going to focus on, kind of. And the other two are some honorable mentions I wanted to bring up. I wanted to do something a little bit different than what we normally would talk about when we talk about movie monsters. And this guy, he only made a brief, and I do mean a very brief, appearance in the movie that I'm going to bring him up from. But he is probably one of the scariest monsters in the whole fucking movie. And that is the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh my God.
Nothing scared you worse than him putting his hands up and opening his hands and his eyeballs were in his hand. And then the droopy, pale skin. Oh, that brief second that he makes
Nightmare
that
fuel.
appearance is nightmare fuel.
Nightmare
Absolutely.
Yes. You know what? The first time I actually watched that movie, I thought it was like a kid's movie.
I did too. That's why I was
Totally
watching
wrong.
it.
I did too.
No,
Totally wrong. That movie fucked me all the way up.
And Deontay said it's a throwback film, but dude, that was 2006.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't that long. Well, I say it wasn't that long ago, but it was that long ago. But
It's almost
It
20
feels like-
years.
Yeah.
you don't. Yeah, I know, but still,
Wow.
yeah, all of a sudden, some of us are feeling older than we should. But that's beside the point. This, even to this day, like when I was like looking up, like I'm like, I want to do something different, and I googled the image of this guy, and I'm like, fuck, he is still fucking creepy as fuck to look at, and it's still, I'll have nightmares tonight about this motherfucker.
Del Toro's amazing when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I mean, his
And it's a
creations.
Guillermo del
He
Toro film,
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean-
another throwback into what Jen brought up earlier.
His monsters.
like
Boom,
I still love
tie-ins.
this day.
Mhm. He is
The Angel of
amazing.
Death in Hellboy 2.
Mm,
Yes.
Oh my God, that
Oh.
is such a beautiful piece of work. I mean,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
oh
it
my
is.
gosh, it's
I
terrifying
love
but
it.
beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
You're just like, whoa. I mean, wow.
That
So
is
yeah,
what-
Pan's Labyrinth was the beginning, my introduction
I think
to
that
him,
was
and I
Doug
was just
Jones.
like,
Doug
oh
Jones.
shit. And Doug Jones,
Yep.
got to give props.
Yeah.
That man's amazing.
Doug Jones. Doug
so that's my
Jones.
one big creeper that I wanted to throw out for this episode of USDN, and I had two honorable mentions I want to bring up. Both of them are very different from the Pale Man. And the first, I think the next one is one that, man, if you want to talk about 7 degrees of separation, we talk about Kevin Bacon. This is probably one of Kevin Bacon's best films, hands down. And I'm not talking about the dancing movie either. I'm talking about Tremors. Those giant fucking worms, man.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. That's
It was
one of the
different.
best characters.
It was
Love those
different at the
worms.
time. Was it scary? The only thing scary about that movie was Reba McEntire holding that rifle. But it's an honorable mention from me. And then my next honorable mention I'm going to throw out there is those nasty little worms from Slither.
Oh,
I just watched
Love
Slither again
Slither.
recently, and it's still just as creepy today
Yeah.
as it was when it first come out. By damn, those fucking worms are nasty little alien worms, man.
that when the people
They
get sick
are.
and they start eating a lot, they want the
Yes, the
Oh.
raw meats and
Oh.
yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
I'm
I do.
so
It's
hungry,
like to
and
be
they're like
so
just keep
hungry.
shoving the food in their mouth, and they're all like bloated and
Yeah, and then that one lady ate
Oh.
herself to like the size of a fucking barn.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, I forgot how fucking gross this movie was.
That's
and,
James Gunn, isn't it?
I love
uh,
James Gunn. Yeah, it is.
I think so, yeah.
It is.
Is it?
James
Yeah,
Gunn.
it's before
It's
he
one of his
did
first
Guardians,
films.
because
Yeah.
he still has Grandpa from Guardians. Every movie James Gunn does has certain people in it all the time. Grandpa from Guardians of the Galaxy is in every James Gunn movie.
No way.
Who else is in there? Come on, Jeff. You talk about Slither.
What's his name?
Nathan Fillion.
Yep, Nathan Fillion. And then
He was in
what's
the
his
last
name?
Guardians.
The guy that plays fuck.
Oh, you come on. I know what you're saying. I know what you're
Hang
thinking.
on.
What's his name?
Oh,
You know what? Fuck.
he plays Gondu.
Yeah,
I don't know his
Gondu.
real name. He's in
Got
Slither.
this.
He's the
I
main
know,
bad
I
guy.
know who you're talking.
Michael Rooker.
Yes, yes,
Michael
Yes.
Rooker.
yes.
He is
Yes,
awesome.
thank you.
That's
I
why
was
Slither
sure
is so
enough.
awesome. He does such a good job in that movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one that ruins your appetite because they were
Mhm.
straight up eating raw meat. And Michael
Oh.
Rooker was the beginning of the Slither. Remember when you go
Mhm.
to the beginning of the movie? So it was all his fault.
Yep, Gondu.
Well,
how
not
did you-
really
how did
his
you do
fault.
this?
It come off an asteroid and landed in the middle of
Yeah.
the woods where he found it. But call his
It's a good
ass
movie.
Merle. He is Merle. Yes,
Call
Yeah.
his ass Meryl.
yes,
Hey, what's
But-
his name in Walking Dead?
Merle.
Yeah.
What's his name in Slither? Isn't it Merle?
No, it was another.
Damn it,
fucking
now I gotta look
Grant.
it up.
Yeah,
Oh
name is
shit.
Grant.
Man, Willie had me going.
Grant,
I thought his name
yeah.
was Merle
Oh,
and
yeah.
Both for a
Grant.
second.
Grant.
Damn it. Okay, I got you, Jen. I got you. It's Grant. I thought Willie was calling him out as Merle and
no,
Grant.
Slither. I was like,
he is Merle in The Walking Dead.
yeah. He's amazing.
Daryl's older
man.
brother.
Michael Rooker's badass.
He is.
Yeah, he
He's
was
awesome.
racist. Yeah,
He's
he was
one
racist. in The
racist
Walking
he
ass
Dead.
was.
Such an
jackass.
asshole in that.
Y-
Oh my
yeah.
god.
That
Mhm.
was
I was happy
Daryl's
when they
Daryl's
turned
big
his
brother.
ass.
Yeah, when his ass died finally. Yeah,
Dude, when he was on the roof in the very
Bye.
first season, he's cutting his hand off. I was like, I hope that bitch dies. He's sitting there cutting your. Oh, anybody who deserved to be eaten by zombies, it's him.
that motherfucker.
Oh,
Mhm.
So that's it on my side. With that though, I want to give it over to Kelvin before we actually no. I want to give it back over to Jen because she's got some horror news updates for us.
Do you guys want some horror news
Boom.
updates?
Horror
Absolutely.
updates with
Update
Jen. I
us,
even made a
Jen.
banner for it.
Update you? Okay. All right. Some horror news, my friends. So, the latest and the greatest about Beetlejuice 2. So, there are some whispers of a release date possibly being delayed. I know. I am sad about this too, but keep in mind, I know it was set to be released in September of 2024. We all know the stars are reprising their roles and all that fun stuff, and we know that Jenna Ortega from Wednesday is going to be joining Tim Burton's cast. So as you know, filming started in May this year, and it came to a screeching halt from the SAG-AFTRA strike in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Beetlejuice 2, their release date was one of the list of Warner Brothers releases that were going to be delayed. But although the production can't be started again, and it's probably not going to be released until 2025. But
Oh.
good news. And this comes from Tim Burton's mouth. He says that he only needs a day and a half to finish filming.
Yep.
Oh, so it's all just post production then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like it.
Well,
They're wanting to take their time in post production.
I
Which I
so
get it.
I think
I can
they're
understand
working
that.
on post production things, but they need a day and a half of filming. A day and a half
Okay,
of
so the
filming,
holdup,
and I think
though-
they're working. It's the strike,
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
know that the
unfortunately.
the full sets have already been torn down. So whatever they're reshooting has nothing to do with the big set stuff
Okay.
because they rebuilt
Maybe.
the town in the house and
Yeah.
everything from the original
Right.
up in Delaware, which they went back to the original location, rebuilt the house, the whole nine. And I know that had already been
Shit.
torn down the whole nine.
That's
So
awesome.
whatever it is they're reshooting is
Yeah.
going to have to be studio work.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
But I'm glad to see
Yeah.
it's finally happening, and with
It's true.
Jenna Ortega on board, it's one of those where I haven't seen her in anything bad recently.
No, and she's
So-
a horror movie buff too.
She is.
She
likes
appreciates
doing
doing that type of stuff. So yeah,
And I can't wait for the second season of Wednesday as well. So
yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, she did a really
I
good
am
job
looking
with that.
forward to
I have to
that.
agree.
Yeah,
She brings a lot to that role.
Jen, I know you
She
got more
does.
for us.
I do. Let's talk about Salem's Lot. So I actually didn't know
Yes.
that they were going to make a new Salem's Lot 2023. So there's no news about this actually. So Warner Brothers possibly have shelved the remake of Stephen King's novel. Remember, it was brought to screen in 1979 and then 2004. It was originally supposed to hit theaters in 2022 in September, but it was affected by COVID and had some post-production issues, went into reshoots, and then it actually lost its release time to Rise of the Evil Dead, which I didn't know. So they chose to release Rise of the Evil Dead instead of Salem's Lot. It's not really clear why Warner Brothers hasn't given Salem's Lot a release date yet. In general, horror movies have been performing really well in the theaters. So it's kind of, hopefully they give us a release date, because it's kind of shooting themselves in the foot there.
Mhm.
But the test screenings that they have done of Salem's Lot have done really well. So
Warner Brothers shooting themselves in the foot?
Oh, well, God
I know.
forbid.
What?
They've never
When-
done that before.
when I
On
know.
all fronts.
So the test screenings have gone well. Right. So the test screenings have gone well. So I'm hoping that, we can just get a release date and keep
Now,
going.
let me ask
forward.
this
So I'd like
question,
to see
though, with
this.
Salem's Lot. Do we really need another remake of it?
Yes.
The 2004 one was...
Yes.
I think the
Yes.
2004 didn't do as
All
well because
the
it was a
things.
TV
All the
miniseries. Or
I mean, I'm not going to
TV.
complain if they give us another one. That's
Yeah,
not
I
the
mean-
last thing I'm doing.
I think it's a beloved book of Stephen King's. It's why it's, people want to see it. But then we all know Stephen King
Yeah.
may be the king of horror novels, but the translation to the big screen doesn't always work out for him. But
Even
I mean,
with his son is also a writer, and like he's very much taken the same path as his father with his whole universe interweaving his stuff. Jonah
Mhm.
Hill is who I'm talking about, in case
Yeah.
y'all didn't know who his son was. Of course, that's not his real name, but he also writes horror. I think he did The Phone Booth, if I ain't mistaken. Is that the name
that
of
was
it? Don't-
horrible.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
I don't know.
It didn't translate to the big screen,
Hey,
but it
Jen,
did. The book is
I'm
good.
one of the few people that actually like that movie.
I like the premise. I just
Yeah.
thought that on
Yeah.
screen it went too
I-
far on
I
screen.
will say this: supposedly
Ooh.
they are doing a phone booth too.
Now, I don't think that's a good idea.
That's like doing Titanic too.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jen, I have a question. Salem's Lot,
Yeah.
is that the only time Stephen King has ever had like a whole novel dedicated to vampires?
I don't know.
Hmm.
That might be
That's
why
a good
it's so
question.
loved, because
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen King puts out a lot of stuff, but as far as the
Maybe.
traditional monster lore, Stephen King usually makes his own, lore. Everything goes back
Right.
to Castle Rock or, along
Derry.
those lines, Derry, something like that.
Maine
But
or-
with
yeah.
Salem's Lot, he took a well-known monster property and wrote a novel. So that's different for King.
So
Maybe that's
his
why it's
only
so
one is
well-loved.
Salem's Lot. I just Googled it. His only one that I found just now in a quick Google search was Salem's Lot. So that's the only time he dabbled in vampires.
Wow.
That
I
might
mean,
be-
that-
I'm
yeah.
just trying to guess.
That's like a rare baseball card. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Willie, you're so right, dude. If they make a phone booth, I want to know what city that phone booth is in, and who's putting $5 worth of quarters in to make a phone call.
please disconnect that fucking line ASAP, and don't get your dumb ass in the phone booth.
No.
You deserve.
They
it.
get
No,
Pete
no.
Davidson to be in it.
You deserve whatever happens to you if you
Right.
answer the phone in the phone booth.
All right, Jim, what else
So
you got for us?
along the same vein with Stephen King is Welcome to Derry. So what I looked up as this prequel to the amazing Stephen King book won't premiere on Max until 2025. So remember they were filming in Port Hope, Ontario, with aim to be released for Halloween in 2024. Unfortunately, this is another one of our shows that's going to be slowed down by the SAG-AFTRA strike. Now, again, I know that the strike has ended, but I remember the actors, I think, are still striking. So the premiere has been pushed to 2025 now. Bill Skarsgård actually said that he is not currently involved in Welcome
Wow.
to Derry.
He doesn't need to be really for this one because it is the prequel to what we call It. So this is
Right.
everything leading up to it.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it was going to show his character like from what you saw in It Too.
That's
Yeah.
what I was expecting. Which I don't know.
Jen?
I can't
know how y'all
see it
gonna make
without
that
Bill
work.
Skarsgård though.
Yeah, he needs.
That's why I was
to be-
asking Jen. I mean, if he's not in it, are they still doing that, Jen?
So what I can tell you is that the show is actually being produced by the sibling director producer duo Andy and Barbara Muschietti Muschetti, and those were the actual two that produced the It movies.
Hmm.
So we are in good hands. So
Yeah.
trust the
I
process.
like
Trust the
that.
process.
I like that. I like that they're involved because their vision from the movies comes to the show. I like that.
Yeah.
The new
I won't
movies
complain.
to me were amazing. No, yeah, I'm the
Plus
same.
complaining gets
The
us
new
nowhere.
movies were terrifying.
They did a really
Yeah.
good job.
Bill
Yes.
Skarsgård's 90% of that scare though. The way he's able to manipulate his face and do the facials and everything is what sells it. And Curry did the same thing. Curry is what made it so fucking scary.
That's why I wanted to ask Jen about him not being active on the thing. How are you
It
going
could
to
be a
do
throw off.
the origins of Pennywise without Pennywise? Because he even played. That's why I was asking Jen. Is like in the second movie when you see the black and white photos of the carnival and everything, and the guy who becomes Pennywise's body is Bill Skarsgård.
Mhm.
Still
Mhm.
playing that role. So I'm like, if you're going to go back and tell his origin, how are you going to do that without him?
I'm not really sure. I do think it could possibly be a throw off because
I think
they
so
could
too.
eventually bring Bill Skarsgård in because I mean,
Mm.
look, we had Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire pop in for this,
Best
Spider-Man,
kept
and
secret
It's
in
coming to
freaking
Max, you say?
Hollywood.
they didn't
Yes,
tell.
Max.
Yeah, they said it's going to be coming to Max.
Oh, well, that's an easy fix. There's another Skarsgård that just covers Max HBO all the time,
Yeah,
and that's
There
his
you
older
go.
brother.
Alexander. Yeah,
Yeah, his older brother.
Yeah.
throw him in there. You'd be all right.
Fuck, reach
I'll
out to his
accept
dad.
Yeah.
Reach out to his dad. He's an actor too.
Yeah,
You want to go further? His wife, his mom, his grandparents, they're all actors.
yeah,
Guy across the street.
yeah.
Yeah, he's probably kin to the Skarsgård too. I mean, that whole family is freaking actors.
His dad was busy.
Very.
Mm.
Jen, what else you got for us?
So the last update, since it sounds like that we are all Guillermo del Toro fans, I wanted to mention,
Absolutely.
I actually didn't know a whole lot about this. So he's doing his horror thing again, as we absolutely love. He is going to be making a film based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
I did
Now,
know
the
that.
newest report that we have is Andrew Garfield is going to be playing our mad scientist that we all love.
Oscar Isaac's gonna be
Um,
Frankenstein. Sorry, stole it.
So
Didn't
Oscar
mean to.
Isaac is going to be playing our monster creation, and Mia Goth from Infinity Pool is going to be playing our bride. Now, I do know that the story is actually going to be more of an emotional story, and they're actually it's going to be more in line with the original novel by Mary Shelley, and there's going to be more like a father-son relationship between Dr. Frankenstein and his creation, but it's going to be out on Netflix, but there's no release date yet. They're working on it.
I like that.
And
Sorry, I
there's
didn't
my
mean to
horror
steal your
news.
thunder there because I
Yay!
was
Hey,
excited
I
about
like
that
it.
one. I read
That's
that
some
not
good
too long
news. It's
ago.
good information. I mean, it's bad to hear that some of the stuff is rolled back, but it's good that it's still, it's still, in production.
And since it's Guillermo del Toro, it's going to be
Just
good.
some updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep us in the
some
loop with that,
updates,
Jen. That's
With those updates, you can check the Facebook groups
I
between
will.
USDN and QON, and we'll have those updates between the two.
Yep.
With that, I want to give it over to Kelvin to start off our final shots and thoughts because DFPN has had a fantastic fucking week, brother. Give it to us.
Very much so. First and foremost, Jen, thank you for the updates. That's very much appreciated. So please keep us in the loop with all the horror movie updates. It's a very beloved genre amongst us nerds. So thank you for that. But I
Of
would
course,
be
of course.
I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate the USDN, as well as Jen. You are one half of the Queens of Nerdom, along with Tay. Um, No Gimmicks podcast, which I'm a part of, and the Smoke Pit podcast, which
Woo!
Mac is a part of, and breaking down the classics. All these shows hit the charts last week, and not only hit the charts, we are still there. So we're steady staying on the charts. The Queens of Nerdum peaked at number 28 yesterday. So congratulations to you guys. USDN was at 32. Smoke Pit was at 58, I believe. And No Gimmicks was at 77. And Breaking Down the Classics was at 198 last time I checked. But yeah, man, listen, you guys have been killing it, absolutely killing it. And shout out to all the fans that tune in and create constant conversation for these shows. Like this show, since I've been in, has held a steady audience and it's growing. So I appreciate seeing the process play out. I do. I really do.
Absolutely.
And when you guys came to DFPN, like I saw your vision, I trust your vision, but to see this playing out is a completely different thing. So to all the shows, like you guys don't understand. One day we will tell the complete story of DFPN and how this thing started. Like it's insane. So it's really insane. And just to see it, just to see where we are and where I know where we're going to be going in 2024, like it is incredible. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you for trusting the process and executing the process so much so that we're able to see these types of results. Like it's really amazing. And to the fans, like I really want to give you guys all the flowers in the world, because as much as we work behind the scenes, and trust me, we communicate every single day on how to bring you the best show. But without you guys tuning in and without you guys giving us, like, there's people, and what's unique to this is there's people in this chat that are in any other chats that we have on the network. So it speaks to the power that you guys have to pull your own audience. Like it's fucking amazing. You know what I'm saying? And
Godzilla agrees.
it's amazing to see it play out, man. So thank you to the fans for tuning in and giving us your time, because
I think we had a fan also call for a shot there, Black.
I guess we can.
I think we should. I think we should. You're gonna have to give me a second.
But yeah, it's it's amazing, man, and it's just a testament to all the work that you guys have done. So keep grinding, keep growing, and I know what this is going to be in the long run, and it's something special. So I very much look forward to the day where USDN and Queens of Nerdum can be at a Comic-Con, and they can do these shows interviewing high-level people from a Comic-Con. So I know that's where this can go, but I look forward to that day. I'm gonna manifest
every
that.
fucking chance I get. I am applying to. If it comes local, I'm applying to it. I'm trying to get us.
I'm going to manifest that.
Bro, get your shot.
I got it.
My shot. You got it, bro?
I got it.
Hey, were you just talking about going to something local there? Jeff, I missed it. I was running a shot.
So I did apply for the Richmond Indie Comic Expo held at VCU. We did not get the panel and we did not get a booth. It was apparently very heavily sought after this year. It has grown a lot, supposedly. But I'll try again next year.
Hey,
And
that's all you can do.
we have
There'll be plenty of other shows.
many others coming up, and you best believe I'll apply for those too. So with that,
This time next year, you probably won't even have to apply.
they'll be calling us. So here's to that.
So here's to that.
Here's to DFPN,
Cheers.
all the shows, all the hard work, and especially to the fans and the viewers and the members. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Salud.
Salute.
Salute.
So with all that great stuff from Kelvin, I will say USDN presents All Hallows Eve #1 will hit the airways live on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from on Tuesday afternoon. This episode will follow the week after. And stay tuned. We got, oh, by the way, if you haven't noticed already, the Queens deserved their own space to do their thing. They have their social media right now. It is live. You could go over there, give them a like and a follow. Ladies and gentlemen, they are 1 like away from 100 people. Somebody go over there. If you haven't already done it, tap that fucking button and let's get them to 100. And then after that, let's aim for 200.
Yep.
Absolutely.
This is good for everybody here on the network. And for one, I'm extremely proud of everything that Jen and Tay are doing over there. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to our 5th episode. Watch the USDN page for updates. I know QON is live November 16th with episode 6.
18th.
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 My bad. The 18th. I got the invite today, so
Yes,
thank you.
we will be discussing
At 9
Hogwarts
p.m.
villains.
Eastern time? 9 p.m. Eastern?
8.
Going 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Okay. And then I think USDN's next one, I'm not sure about yet. I will figure that out and I'll let you know on the page. We still have an interview series that we're working on. I'm going to start probably doing those again later. I'm probably looking at having Drew Moss back on.
Oh, Drew's got questions he needs to answer.
He does have some questions he needs to answer.
Exactly.
Holding that on us.
And not only that, I want some good news on Thundercats because I know he just got picked up for Thundercats. So I'm looking forward to that. No, that's
congratulations,
mandatory.
Drew. The art
That is
looks
mandatory.
amazing so far.
So with
Yes.
that, a special thank you goes out to the DFPN podcast group for all the love and support they always give to us. As always, we want your feedback, so please tell us what you enjoy about the shows, what you didn't enjoy about the show, and it can't be me because I'm an enjoyable person sometimes. And hit that like, subscribe, share button, and do the same over on Spotify, Apple, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is USDN approved.